Yeah. Okay. 6:03, I'm going to call the June 16th Select Board meeting to order. And part 2 is additions to and deletions from the posted agenda. And tonight we have hire a forester to assist with the sap sale at Phil's request. He needs help with the town forest. 100-acre town forest. And the second, we will be authorizing town manager, town treasurer, and the town clerk to sign loan documents for the Irene bond loan, and we'll also be approved refunding debt to convert short-term debt, and we'll be putting that into a long-term loan. So that will be our addition. We have a public hearing to amend zoning regulations. Sally is not here yet, so if it's okay with the board, we're going to wait when she gets here to do that. Citizen comments, other than. So then we go to old business. And should we go to D first?
Sounds reasonable.
Okay, so we're going to jump ahead to D because we seem to have an audience, I think, pertaining to. So we have Tom Garden here. He'll be presenting information regarding the Tassville Solar Project. You're on.
I'm up first.
You're up first.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So would you like me to remain seated to address the board? Would you like me to stand? Would you like me to pull up? How would you like?
You can pull up.
Do whatever you like.
You can pull up.
But I want everybody to be able to hear me. There's plenty of seats down front. So thank you for the opportunity to address the board. I requested this opportunity to meet with you after I read the minutes posted online after one of the meetings. I thought it was important because it turns out that it's become a very politically charged, or at least emotionally charged, project, unlike what I ever expected. A year ago, when I responded to the request for proposal for the town to do some net metering down at Maxim Meadow, I recognized there was a need for a lot more net metering that could benefit the town. I think the sewer treatment plant alone uses 500,000 kilowatt hours a year, just that one meter. And it's a lost opportunity. Number one, to save money for the town, save money on the budget, but also to help the environment, which we're all trying to do in our own little way. So a lot of the rhetoric that's been said about the project since it's sort of become more mainstream just doesn't reflect facts. It's not fair to this project and to my way of thinking, to Woodstock, to make decisions, form opinions, and have a position that's not based on fact. I haven't got all the facts, but I'm accumulating it and have most of the facts today. But I just wanted an appreciation for several things. Number one, the need or the motivation for coming to Woodstock was that this was a community like a lot of Vermont communities that wanted to take advantage of net metering to save money on your electricity. I was trying to fill a need. I was told, really the town doesn't own suitable land or buildings to do this. And I said, well, if I found a suitable piece of property, would you consider it? A nod. So I said, okay, I'll go look. I thought I found a suitable piece of property, keeping in mind that when I'm looking for property, the number one thing I need is a field. Either it's an existing field or I can make it into a field. The second thing I need, most importantly probably, is proximity to three-phase power. I looked at a site, the site we know about today, that had been on the market, I'm told by the broker, for over 6 years. No interest, nothing happening. I was told by the broker, when I questioned, do you think it's suitable for solar? Do you think the neighbors will mind? We sent out a mailing prior to signing your contract telling 26 different property owners what your intention is. I said, Okay, no feedback? No, but one feedback was from a Taft relative who said, gee, you know, I'd love to buy, maybe preserve the land, but I don't have the resources, so it's only fair that whoever owns the land does what he wants to do with the land. I think it's important, maybe just to me personally, that people just have a little bit of appreciation that this wasn't drive into town under cover of darkness, find the first open field, and say, I'm putting it there, come hell or high water. It wasn't. It wasn't in any way, shape, or form. I looked at a field that had been on the market a long time, that had some environmental issues, maybe, at least I was told, and that had a visual and physical impact of a high-tension electric line running across. Some would say that's less than ideal for a residential property, particularly in as beautiful community as Woodstock. So I sort of was convincing myself, maybe, and nobody else, that solar would work here. It's not like I'm taking a pristine site and desecrating the countryside. It's just not. And when I carefully read a regional plan or a town plan, maybe it's a little bit biased, but I'm looking for reasons why it would work there. Sometimes I see those, they stick right out, and sometimes they don't. But I'm reminded when I read the regional plan and when I talk to the Regional Planning Commission, we'd rather see solar in locations like that than out in the wide open countryside. We don't want them out there. We want them closer to where there's already development. We're trying to combat urban sprawl, suburban sprawl. It makes sense to me. Now I know the land is zoned R5, 5-acre minimum. There's 15 acres and change, 3-lot subdivision. When I look at land for a 500 kilowatt net meter system, I need 3 to 5 acres. That's all I need. I didn't need all this extra land. I didn't want all this extra land. But I said, maybe there's a builder in town who'd say, I could put a nice little home at the end of Butternut Lane and make it fit in. Maybe there's a way to fit another home where the existing trailer or last on that site was sited next to the cemetery. But what I did, in the effort to be transparent, was I talked from day one about the rules may change someday. And the state courts already said that if a solar location is good for one project, it should be good for multiple. But that's not allowed under the laws. But so that nobody would accuse me a year or 2 or 3 from now saying, ha, we knew it. I said, no, I might, if the law ever permits it, cite a second solar farm right beside the first one. I resent the fact that people think that I did this to circumvent any rules. I'm somewhat mystified why people come to you and say, he's not only going to build a second one, that's been his plan all along, he's going to use Butternut Lane. They're going to bring heavy trucks over that little bridge. When I specifically stated the last time I was in this room, no traffic, no construction traffic related to a solar farm would ever be on Butternut Lane. I read these things, I hear these things, I say, listen, that's not going to do to control the rhetoric, but I want to come to you to just express my perspective, what's happened, and why. Very early in the process, your town manager, your head of your planning board knew the site I was focused on. I wasn't asking for response, I wasn't asking for feedback, I was just trying to keep people informed of where I was going. Your planning director knew, was helping me. All along, we always talked about it's zoned this, it's this, it's that. No representations, I wasn't asking for that. I was just doing my due diligence at the local level. I was doing my due diligence at the regional level with the Regional Planning Commission, making certain that I was in abiding by any concerns or regulations that they wanted. I certainly was abiding by the Public Service Board's rules and regulations, because that's who eventually I have to submit my petition to. There's been no recognition for the fact that everything that I've done, every step of the way, and for the project that I presented to you in my 45-day notice, was 100% in compliance with every state law, rule, order, guideline regulating solar in the state of Vermont. I wasn't asking for anything other than to allow me to build it per the rules and regulations. It's not my duty to make the rules and regulations. It's important, I think. Now, those might change. Those might change, and if they do, myself and others will abide by whatever the changes are. But I'm here tonight to tell you that I'm planting the solar farm on the site, but I'm listening. I'm listening to what the neighbors say, what the abutters say. I'm reading the letters that I receive. I've responded to almost every letter I've gotten. I've responded to all of them with time. And what I'm telling you tonight is that I formally decided that we're going to move the solar array away from the cemetery. We're going to move it towards the center of the field. It's going to be away from what some of my critics would say is a location that's ruining the solemnity of the historic cemetery. I appreciate that. I'm listening. I'm trying to help. Now, I might sound like I'm just doing this for anything I can get away with. But you can look at it that way, or you can look at it and say, you know what, maybe he's a little bit more sincere than we thought. I'm here to tell you that I've spent the money it takes to demonstrate that wherever a solar panel is located, wherever a post that goes in the ground to hold up that solar panel will be uplands. Not 1 inch of wetland will be disturbed. Doesn't have to be. I'm here to tell you that the studies have been done by my experts to say that we can generate enough electricity to make this project financially feasible, even though we're paying for 15 acres of land instead of 3 to 5. I'm here to tell you that I'm going to utilize 3 to 5 acres of uplands, no wetlands. I'm here to tell you that it's going to be in the lowest part of the field. It's going to be the least visible. It's going to be screened, which I've said from day one. Very little impact on neighboring homes. No visual impact to any home higher up on a ridge in the area. None. I had one person who made me come to their house after being here at the last meeting I was here to tell me I was ruining the view. We went up there, we went on the porch, we looked out, and I said, do you see where the Subaru is parked? Mm-hmm. And that person said, no, but I mean over there, where the pine trees are. I said, no, that's not my property. That's Mr. Franzen's land. Oh, forget about it. Can't see, you couldn't see it. You couldn't see where they were going to be. This is at the very highest part of the ridge. Go up there and see for yourself. I think it's important, before you rush to judgment, before you pass rules, before you form opinions, investigate. That's all I ask. Meet me at the site. Let me walk you around and show you the wetlands, show you the uplands, show you why I don't believe the representations made to you in person are true. That there's clay, that I'm going to flood the neighbors, that I'm going to do all kinds of, but Mother Nature is going to do all these things that have never happened before, by the way, on a site where I'm going to do no grading, where I'm going to do no removal of existing vegetation, where the highest part of the site, as you know, it has banks along the far side, covered in lupin, where the power lines sit on top. No disturbance there. No grading, no solar panels, nothing there to disturb that view. Everybody knows when you look at a perspective in the distance, the higher it up, the more impact it has. I'm nowhere near that. You look right over solar panels at that.
Could I ask who you originally talked with that gave you the indication that the town was looking for net metering power?
You had an RFP a little over a year ago, and contractors were invited to meet at the town water sewer treatment plant, Maxim Meadow, and that's where we met to talk about doing a 10 kilowatt project on the roof. But I'd gone online and I'd seen in the budget that you had a significantly high electric budget. So I said, if I could find a site, would that be of interest? And I think it should be. I think it should be of incredible interest to your board as a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers of this town. I think it should be. Here's a model, just the results. My model says that if utility prices raised on average 2.5% over the next 20 years, and this is how everybody evaluates their proposals, what would you save? That 2.5% would save the town, if it used all the power, took all the electrons from that and got credit on their meter. They're not really technically going to your meter, but you get credit for those electrons on your meter. You'd save over 20 years $500,000 at 2.5%. Now, most people believe, and historically speaking, utility prices wildly exceed, probably by double, 2.5% per year. So take the number to 4.5% per year average over 20 years. And the savings to the town of Woodstock rose to $1.16 million over 20 years. These are significant numbers for any community of any size. That's why typically I don't get as much pushback. But for whatever reason, I'm getting pushback here, and I'm just trying to educate. I'm just trying to give you a sense of what's been done right, what's been done wrong. Why would I pursue this? Why would I pursue this when all this is happening? Well, I pursued it because I reached out to the staff of the different agencies within the state who regulate projects like mine, who I know because of my other projects. Wetlands Division, water quality, stormwater management, historic preservation. This is back in the fall. Sent them preliminary information. Feedback, wetlands. Can't really make a determination until spring. Do your wetland delineation and we'll come visit, which they did last week. They will verify to anybody who calls that all of the areas I'm talking about installing the solar panels is uplands. Not 1 inch of wetlands will be disturbed in any way, shape, or form. I don't have to. Stormwater management doesn't look like an issue. Historic preservation, not a problem. No problem. Is that right or wrong? I don't know. But all I can do is take their feedback, solicit their guidance. That's all I can do to make this project move forward for what I think is going to be to the benefit of the town of Woodstock. I named the project in my 45-day letter the Tassville Community Solar Garden. Am I being flippant? Am I that big a jerk? Thank you. Thank you. So the idea is, no, from day one, this has been about a project for Woodstock, in Woodstock, for Tassville, in Tassville. Not everybody's going to love it, but everybody should be able to make a decision and form an opinion based on facts, not on innuendo. I've told everybody from day one I'm going to screen it. I called neighbors. I stopped in at homes, trying to do it at reasonable times. One person sent me an email, made me feel like I had violated something by showing up unannounced. And I said, well, I remember, yes, it was an evening at 5 p.m. It was dark, it was November, but I had just seen a car pull in. I said, it's a chance to say to a neighbor, hey, this is what I'm planning, what do you think? And get some face-to-face interaction, which is important to me. I'm all about communication. Nobody can tell me who abuts that property, who own those properties, and said they weren't reached out to, except for the Tassville Cemetery Association, which was an oversight of mine. Anybody like to see that? Happy to show you that. That's something which a lot of times when I'm talking about doing a project with a community, we get into my models. I have an open book. I'll show you every number I'm working on so you can understand. When I made a presentation last June or July to the Energy Advisory Committee of Sustainable Woodstock, I told them the best way for municipalities to maximize the return is to own the system. Of course, they'd love to own it right now. Every community would love to own it. It doesn't work that way. It's too expensive a technology. Every community does it the same way if they can. They let the third-party investor maximize the return to the investor the way these things have been financed, because that's the way the federal government wants it, playing within the rules. But that investor also has the ability to sell that property at a severe discount, but at a significant discount because of the way the rules are written. And that's what happens. And if you could own this, say after year 6, maybe have it paid off after year 12, it's a fun, those numbers multiply. Back in June and July of last summer, after I made my presentation to Sustainable Woodstock's Energy Advisory Committee, you discussed it in your meeting, and the minutes state that you told them, go solicit more proposals. Didn't happen. I wished it would. I know it's going to be difficult to find land that somebody can do this kind of a project, but the opportunity does exist, and I just ask for your consideration. So, there's another solar array in town, Woodstock Aqueduct Company. The zoning there is R5, same zoning as where I'm zoning put mine. I don't know if there was a hue and cry when that was going in. I don't know. Highly visible to a state highway. Trackers, they move, they make noise. Very different than a passive, quiet, never moves, never makes any noise that I'm proposing. Okay. Another point I want to get into, but first, this is just, I want to be sure if you pass that around. That area outlined in blue would be a location where I would propose moving the modules. The solar array would be located away from the cemetery. The next version of my 45-day letter, which I'm going to do, I'm going to modify my 45-day letter and start all over again. People can weigh in again. People can continue to send letters. All that is part of the process. But that's where the new site will be located. I'm different. I'm very different. I'm probably maybe the only one here with a Boston accent.
They want to see the map, I guess.
I'm an outsider. I'm a foreigner. To some people, I have no right proposing to change anything in the town of Woodstock. But I'm here because I think it's important to communicate with you. And I've been communicating for over a year with you or others in the way of this project. Not in the way, I should say, but people who are involved with development in town, in the town hall, neighbors and butters. So I have a project that's fully within the rules. I have a project that maybe with the due diligence I've performed is actually in compliance with all state regulations having to do with wetlands, wildlife, stormwater management, and historic preservation. But I still have to listen. It's still my obligation to listen to what's being said, what's being written, what's being sent to me. I'd be irresponsible if I didn't. No, I don't have to. I can take my chances and I can barge my way through. I wouldn't get any satisfaction out of that. I'm a team player, I'm a team sport player. I'm trying to work with people. I'm trying to initiate ideas. I'm trying to make it palatable. I'm trying to figure out why I believe it works and it fits, but I'm getting so much resistance. So I have a vision. Call me corny, call me ridiculous, tar and feather me for all I care. But I want to just briefly run through my vision. Because I like Taftsville. I like this land, I like this project. I want to own this land for a long time. I want to maybe live in the house that's on this land that I built, beside the solar array. Solar array won't be there more than 20, maybe 25 years. Depends on who owns it. I mean, presumably, I would think that the town owns this. It'd be the smartest financial decision you could make today for saving money long term. There aren't many more like this. It's a great, and my partners are wide open to these kind of discussions. But my vision is to say, there's a legacy in Taftsville that's been ignored. You cross the border from Heartland, you hit Taftsville. It's the threshold to the community. There's no light, there's no sign, there's no appreciation for the legacy of what is Taftsville. Call me corny, but I think at one point in time, Taftsville was the economic engine of Woodstock. It's where the Tafts and others did their development. Built their steel mill, made tools and stoves, if you read the Historic Preservation Report. Brickyard, lumberyard, all kinds of operations that really created the economic engine that was Taftsville. And I'm sure created somewhat of an economic engine for the rest of Woodstock. But I can bomb through Taftsville at 35 miles an hour, and I'm perfectly within my rights. There's not a blinking light. There's not a sign. There's one of the prettiest covered bridges in Vermont, and there isn't a crosswalk to get to it from where you would park at the general store. Is it just me, or is something missing? You're a tourist and you go to the Welcome Center. It tells you about all the nice places to visit. There's 14 of them in Woodstock Village. There's no cutout for Taftsville. There's no mention of the covered bridge. There's no mention of the historic cemetery. There's no mention of the general store. There is an economic malaise and there's an oversight on a part of the town to appreciate the legacy that is Taftsville Village. So what's this crazy vision? The vision is that maybe the modern day solar facility comes to Taftsville and becomes an economic engine in some small way. That maybe school tours, student programs, curriculum in the high school and in the middle school where they study solar, because all the schools are doing it now that have solar in their town. All it takes is a cable hookup, and each student, each class can predict how much it's going to generate, have contests, compare. It adds a whole new level of curricula for the science department of the school. Why wouldn't you want to take advantage of that? Why wouldn't you want to create a stop for tourists who say, hey, here's Taftsville, I read about it. It's on the tourist map. I want to visit the store. I want to see the bridge. They've got a walkway along the river that takes me up to the cemetery, and then I can loop back and I can walk through the solar farm. There'll be signs, maybe a little building where I can learn about how solar works, how the science of photovoltaics actually works. It'll be a day trip destination. It'll be the gateway to Woodstock. But people will stop and visit. And it'll create maybe something, not right away, but over time, that gives some ability for those buildings along Route 4 that right now, maybe 1 or 2 residential homes could use a little bit of help. It's all zoned for residential office. You know, in due time it'll all be upgraded. But in the meantime, there needs an economic engine. I want to see the general store thriving. Hard to find a parking space because of all the tourists who are stopping. Sure, you can go to Little Green now and you can tie your bike to the rack, but good luck crossing the street, there's no crosswalk. It's just a vision, and it's not that hard to get it started. And it's not that far-fetched that the economic engine that was Taftsville once upon a time, built on the ability to generate energy from the river, is taking advantage of modern technology to light up the economy of historic Taftsville without visually impacting the cemetery, the scenic byway, or any of the historic structures nearby. One last thought. If I built a 150 kilowatt system, I don't need to put a fence around it. If I build a 155 kilowatt system or larger, I need a 7-foot high chain link fence. It is incredibly inappropriate. Incredibly inappropriate. Every professional engineer I talk to says it's overkill. One told me once, somebody could gnaw on the wires behind the modules and nothing would happen. When the project gets built, to give it that appeal, help me fight the fence. People can walk between the rows. Wildlife can walk between the rows. We can all avoid the concern that a deer might get inside the fence, or this or that might happen. There are other ways to avoid all that, but there's no safety concern. There's no issue there. But it helps minimize the impact. I just want you to know that I'm listening. Thank you for your time. Appreciate your consideration of this project.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Should I ask for questions or
Any questions?
rebuttal?
Bruce, questions? All set?
No, I think he's done a great job with his homework. The vision is fine. There's one big obstacle. The people that live down there don't want it. And I think that's hugely important.
And I agree, Bruce. I agree it's very
Yeah,
important.
and you're not going to change that in any shape, manner whatsoever.
And just one comment to that is, I've heard it and I've read it. They don't want it. They didn't want it as soon as it became public. And part of that sort of perplexes me because most of them, in fact, the vast majority can't see it. It's like the 3 substations that are front and center on Route 4. After time, who sees them? I don't believe anybody sees them.
Yes, they do.
Okay. I see them. I look for them. I have to look for them. That's kind of the way this business works. And that's why I say the legacy of Taftsville is so much driven by energy. Why not augment that in a way that creates economic stimulus? Why not? Why not consider it? It might be far-fetched. I might be crazy. But maybe it's an idea. Starts with a slower speed limit. Starts with a few signs. Starts with a crosswalk. Starts with a little bit of marketing. I would welcome people walking through the solar array. Welcome it. I'd welcome them to read the signs. You can read the signs at my Williamstown project. People are welcome to stop there, and they do. It's just, they don't want it. They tell me it's not because, not in my backyard. But then when they say, because it's wetlands, because it's clay and you're going to flood out somebody somewhere, I'm at the bottom of the hill. It's, when I dispel all of the concerns, it's just like, we just don't like it because psychologically it's going to affect our love for the city. I have to appreciate that. I really do. And others have known, and I've discussed it with some, that as an outsider, it is so difficult to put myself in the shoes of a Taftsville villager. A person who's been there a year or a lifetime. It's difficult for me. It's difficult for me to not just say, they're crazy, when they say, a solar, passive, quiet solar installation is going to ruin the solemnity of the cemetery. Go on Google Earth, or just go stand in the cemetery, there are huge logging trucks coming within 20 feet of the headstones. But this is going to ruin the solemnity on private land, privately owned land. But listen, I have to listen. It's important, and I'm trying to respond in a way that's thoughtful and productive. Thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, so, brief comments. We do have other things on the agenda.
Sure. Madam Chairman, I'm Ken Gamble, and I don't speak for everybody. We all just happen to live in the same spot. I'd just like to clarify something for the record. The idea of having this facility located further down the hill than it has been previously stated is not a new idea. On the 13th of May, over a month ago, we heard about that from Mr. Garden as a proposal to make it more palatable to the community. It definitely was not found to be palatable. In point of fact, that's the steepest part of the property, and the heavy wetlands are in fact largely above the property. That's where if you walk there this afternoon, you'd be wet up to your ankles. That water crosses the middle of the property, where the velocity of it will absolutely race through there if in fact hundreds of holes are dug to support solar panels, and those holes all generate the clay that we all know is in the Vermont hillside. So that is a very real, actual concern that we just remind the Commission or the Board of. And I do thank Mr. Garden for telling us what a wonderful community Tassville is. So it really is special, and that's why we got it designated as a historic spot. We don't want to see it change one bit. And when the facility is built, if it's ever built, we certainly want to be sure the conditions are tied to make sure that the facility is removed. We've all seen situations where out-of-staters come into town, invest in a piece of property, and suddenly they've left. And we're just left with a blight on the countryside, such as the substations in Tassville. I thank you for your consideration tonight.
May I make a rebuttal? Just very quickly. Just for the record. And Ken, you're welcome to come look at this. This is the site. And Mr. Gamble mentioned that I'm talking about putting it on the steepest part of the land. These are topographic lines, obviously. This is the flattest. You can tell by the wider spacing of the lines. This is the flattest part of the property, part that I've signified where we're going to move the array to. So I'm not sure where the comment comes from that I'm putting it on the steepest part or anything of that nature. You can see, by the way, small wetland here. It's 0.62 acres. Balance of this is wet. All of this that you see non-highlighted is all dry. But I'm not touching any of this. I'm not touching any of this. It's going to be down here. And that's the flattest, most ideal part of the site, quite frankly. And that's where we'll put the solar array.
And that's also where the contours that are so steep up here run down and the water pools in this area. This is Butternut down here. This is Route 4. So the water is racing down this hillside, and here it's just working its way right into the village.
No, it isn't. It isn't, because there's a brook here that I've seen water come down here. This is one of the best. You want to put your septic system right there. This is phenomenally well drained.
Well, it'd be kept cleaned out, that's for sure.
Okay. Couple in the back. Bruce? Short?
Sure. Bruce Renton, we, Tassville, we own the land just uphill from Tom and well, from the Spooner property. Just need to talk to Phil here. there's no one in this town, except for maybe Darlene and I with our experience with water, who knows that parcel of land better, who understands the water conditions. You get the expert right here on the right-hand end of your desk. I would invite everybody to go on the website that I'm sure Tom read in order to find the land for this project. And when you read it, you're going to see a series of 24 beautiful photos of this parcel of land. You're going to see a recommendation that it be used for as a gentleman's farm or a country estate. There's not one mention of a solar industrial park, which is really a commercial venture. We're not. I mean, we're looking at a vision here. I mean, the vision is not to save the world, to save our state, or to enhance tourism to Tassville. It's a commercial venture to make a buck.
That's right.
The state has allowed this by foregoing Act 250, and we're now victims of it as well. But go. All right, here it is right here. A gorgeous property consisting of 15¼ acres with stunning views, open field with local views and plenty of wildlife. Would be perfect for a gentleman's farm, private estate, or could be subdivided, close to Woodstock and the Tassville store. They had no idea that it would ever be used for a solar industrial park. Thank you.
One more. I can take one more.
Okay. I think the statement was made that the town was going to save money. Yes?
Yes, sir.
The town is going to save money because of this project?
If they were a member of the net metering group.
How is this town going to save money?
If they were a member of the net metering group.
Oh, I see.
Will form a
But
group.
this isn't a speed program, is it not?
No, it's not. This is not.
I see.
This is under the net meter program,
Uh-huh.
not a speed project.
So then you get compensated at about 20 cents a kilowatt hour, roughly?
The project,
Yes,
the credit today is worth 19 cents.
19 cents,
It
yeah.
used to be worth 20 plus.
Yeah,
Today it's worth 20.
yeah.
And that's the
Okay,
credit.
20 cents.
And that's the
fine.
credit that the members get
Yeah.
on their electric bill.
Right, understand. Yeah. Now, the only reason this works is because of the tax credits. I made a spreadsheet of this issue on previous jobs. And the federal government pays 30% of this project. And then the state pays $0.25, a quarter per watt. This is 500,000 watts, so that's $125,000. Plus a third of the cost. The whole project is about $2 million with fence and all the rigmarole. So about a third of that comes to as a gift from all of us, plus 125,000 from the state as a gift. So you subtract that, and then the income from this project will be at around 20 cents a kilowatt hour, which is, I don't know whether that will go down over the years or not. It could not. You know, usually it's 6 cents plus the electric rate. So if the electric rate goes up, and with the law that they just passed, the H40 law, the electric rates are sure to go up. So plus 6 cents makes it even more expensive. So his compensation, or the project compensation, goes up. So it's not going to stay. It's not going to stay constant. It's not going to stay constant. It will go up as the rates go up.
No, it won't, and that's what,
But then
that's probably for another day, and I'd be glad to talk to you that more.
Yeah, no, I understand
But
that.
when I talk to you about selling you the credits,
Yeah.
so you can have them on your bill, constant rate, and that's why it becomes $1.6 million over 20 years, because you'll pay the same rate.
I understand.
No, you don't understand,
Yeah.
because you just told me the rate was going to go up and down, so you don't understand.
The only reason that works is because of the tax credits. If you didn't get the tax
That's a different
credits,
subject.
this project would be underwater.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. The
Yeah.
federal government has said,
Yeah, I understand what the federal
We want-
government said.
we
We don't
want
need to elaborate
renewable
on
energy.
that.
I want to help you understand.
It's just that we're taking advantage of the tax law,
Yes.
and you're taking advantage of the town of Tazewell, you know, a beautiful area, so you're taking two advantages. And basically, none of us are going to benefit.
Sir, do you use electricity? Would you like to
No, we
control
are not
your
going to
electricity
benefit.
costs?
My bill is not going to be any smaller because of this facility, yes or no? Absolutely not.
If you're a member of my group, you'll save.
That is another issue. I'm not wanting to invest in your scheme because that would be aiding and abetting destruction of the environment.
Okay, Kevin, quick.
Mr. Gordon had about 35 or 40 minutes to make his appeal, and we have a lot of people here, and I know you guys are busy, but I think a little more time should be given to the folks in Tazewell for the questions that they have.
I agree.
This is important, so we patiently listen to him. If you
Yes,
be patient
thank
enough
you.
to give us a little more time, that'd be great. So I've got a quick question for you. Have you had as much resistance in other places that you've done this project before?
No.
Okay, so I hope you're listening to that,
Why do you think that is?
because a lot of people don't want to see Tazewell change in the manner that you wish to change it.
Okay, thank you. I think some of those people expressed that opinion without control or knowledge of all the facts. That's all I'm trying to do is give them all the facts.
their homework.
But we've heard the facts, you've explained the facts to us, innumerable times. It's not that we're dumb and that we don't understand what you're saying. We speak the same English that you do with a slightly different accent.
Michael, thank you for that comment.
But Tom,
My point is that-
let me say something else too.
Let him finish, Tom.
We've heard everything that you've said. Is there anybody here who hasn't heard what you've said, read what you've said in the newspaper, digested it? I'll just say once again that we're really capable of understanding and processing the information that you're giving us. We reject it. We don't want the project. And let me further say one more thing. This is not a NIMBY issue. I would suggest that you poll people who live here. It's not that they see it. It's not going to affect me. I don't see it. Many of the people who are sitting in this room have no sight line to that. It's not that. It's not that. It's simply the scale of the project. It's simply the project itself. Doesn't belong in Tazewell. That's really all I have to say. With all due respect, I don't dislike you. I like you. I respect what you're saying, and I respect what you're trying to do. You're a businessman. You want to make money. I totally respect that. There are other ways to do it in other communities. You were just asked a simple question. Have you had any kind of pushback such as this from any other community? And your answer was no. Why are you fighting as hard as you're fighting when you see so much, almost unified resistance?
Would you like me to answer that?
Yeah, of course.
I believe I'm doing it for the benefit of Tazewell. I just explained that.
You're kidding me.
We don't know what we... Tom, the point that I was just... I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was just saying, the points that you were making, the benefits you described, even if they were real, and I don't know, I haven't done numbers or anything like that, but let's assume for a moment that the benefits are real. We all understand that as well. Do we want them? We don't want them. We don't, even if they are benefits, we say, let's pass on this.
There was, my name is Sal Nuzzi. I wrote you a letter. I own Maplewood Farm on Old River Road. We came here to Woodstock about 15 years ago. And, we invested quite a bit in the farm and the area because we liked what we saw. The people here, Woodstock, Tazewell, very intelligent people. That's one thing I found out. I faced some of my own challenges. with some of the projects that I needed to do. But the beauty of the area is its biggest asset. Right? And to place an array, and I still don't quite understand how many panels will be there, not that it really matters, but to place solar panels in people's backyard,
2,000 pounds.
to place 2,000 panels in people's backyard, literally. Okay, yes, the piece of property was for sale. Yes, the piece of property was on the market for 5 years. The piece of property that I bought was on the market for 3 years when I bought it. It takes time sometimes for these properties to move. But no one ever expected an industrial site to be created on that land. I drove up there last week in the evening, probably trespassed, I don't know where exactly I walked, okay? It doesn't belong there, okay? The protection of this area, and I have no financial interest whatsoever in Taftsville. I have quite a bit of financial interest here in Woodstock and in Poplar. Right? Just dictates it's not something that should be done. Those people that are attached to that piece of property will lose property value. There's no question. People don't come to Vermont to see an array of solar panels. They come to see quintessential Vermont. Right? I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, preserving a farm where it would have been a lot easier if my contractor said just bulldoze it. It didn't need to be bulldozed. It was there for 200 years, and who am I to come up here from Brooklyn, New York, right, that's my accent, right? and to tear it down. It's not right. Okay? So to do this in Taftsville, to do it over a cemetery or near a cemetery, and yes, the Route 4 is there and trucks go by and everything else. Cemetery was put there because it was close to the road and easy to get to when funerals had been done back 200 years ago. That's why it's there. Right? Hard to move a cemetery. There was someone else in this town that actually moved some graves. It was adjudicated in the press here for well over a year. To move graves to build a house is a sacrilege. And this is what we're doing again here. It's a similar type issue here in Taftsville. And we shouldn't do it. There's plenty of industrial sites in the state of Vermont which it would do no harm whatsoever. It would harm no residents. It would do nothing to the countryside to put a solar array. And it's not an issue of liking solar or not liking solar. It's an issue of where and the impact on the community. And that's why we're here. That's why I came. This is the first time in 15 years I've attended with my wife a select board meeting. I was never in this room before. But when I saw this in the newspaper, and this has no impact on my part, I can't see it. All right? It's pretty far away to the east from where my farm is. But if someone did this opposite my farm, I'd be fighting with every ounce of energy that I have.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Real quickly, follow up to that. This is where we live. And I don't even see this, but this is where we live. And you got a lot of people, this is such an important part of our lives. And you're coming in, or your investors are coming in, you're wanting to change what is very, very important to us. Does that resonate with you? If you're getting this much pushback, which you've never gotten from somewhere before, it might be a good idea to find another spot that people are more accommodating. But the folks here are telling you, they don't want this. And you have to respect that.
Cheers. Thank you.
I'm Bev Cook. I live on above, looking out to this project, if you will. I'm curious to know, you said you went to someone's porch and looked off into the view, and you didn't see any issue with seeing the solar panels.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm curious to know if you are respecting the community. Have you made the effort to go up onto the hill and look off at directly where those panels are going to go?
Yes.
When? You didn't come to my porch. And I'm just curious to know if you made an effort to come up and look off of my porch, you would see it is absolutely going to ruin all of the hope that people come from all over the country to see the view.
I would not have gone on your porch without being invited. But if you'd like me,
I thought you told me that you just showed up unexpectedly to some of these houses.
No, I was invited to go to a home at the top of the ridge.
Okay.
I'll
Oh,
go this evening if it's still light out, and I'll point it out to you if you prefer.
what houses did you go and invited to see up above my home?
Invited?
I'm off Hartwood Way.
She's on the hill.
I'm on the hill.
Okay.
Did you,
Let's
you
go.
must have passed my view.
He went to Ellen's. He was,
Oh.
Ellen invited him.
Well, up
Yeah.
there, you're not going to see it as much as you would if you were standing on my veranda.
Okay.
And
I'd
I own
love
an
to-
inn, and people come to
I'd love-
see that view.
I'd love to see.
I encourage you to come. I think you'd be quite
I'd love to do it
dismayed.
tonight if I could.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your name? Sorry.
Beverly Cook.
Bev Cook. Thank you.
Can I say something? My name's Robert Maynard. I live on a farm right up the road here. Last year and a half, we put the Tassville town together and we decided to build a trail system. We spent a lot of money. We worked very hard, and we have a wonderful trail system up on the hill. That trail system will look down on your solar farm. And when we choose to go for a walk, we're going to walk in the woods. We don't want to walk to the solar panels. I mean, we have no interest in walking through the solar panels. So I reject the project, really.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay. Tom, thank you for coming. Thank you, Tassville. Thank you. Moving on. Go to Steve Cart, Hopkins Hill Drive.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
It's okay. I enjoyed it.
Robin.
My turn.
I thought we need you.
Probably won't get as many
Nice of you to
comments,
come.
though. My turn?
You like protection. Yeah.
You're wearing a camera?
Yeah,
Is it on all the time?
it loops. It is on. Yes and no.
Okay.
It's on all the time, but it does.
Hey, Mary,
It records on like a
could you-
72-hour loop. But
you,
it won't save that unless I push the record button to save that event. There's a 1 minute delay, or there's a 1 minute pre-record. So even if I push the button, I only go back to a minute. And then when I push the button to stop it, it will save the volume. So that's how it works.
How long can it record?
We can, it's, the battery life is for about 8 hours, so it'll last the whole shift. And then at the end of the shift, you plug it into a docking station and it automatically download it into the hard drive we're saving to.
Only what you chose.
Only the recorded events.
Okay, speed cart.
Okay, y'all decided you want to put a couple speed carts up on Heartland Hill. The sign that is on South Road right now was the one that was selected by the trustees a year or so ago. And that was vetted through a series of 3 different vendors. We solicited quotes. Based on the performance of that unit, which has been outstanding, we haven't had any issues with it. It's functioned exactly as we determined we wanted it to. And so I used that same company when I went before to seek quotes for the ones on Heartland Hill. You'll look at you see my opening letter, my little memo. And then when you look at, you can compare the quotes, obviously, side by each. There is about a $1,500 difference, or $1,200 difference between the solar and the direct AC 110. My recommendation, as I said in the memo, was to go with the solar for a couple different reasons. Number one, the installation costs. If you have to have, an electrician to install it, essentially hook up a meter to the nearest pole. If you can't mount it directly to the pole, as I indicated, I think the savings in the install would be realized in just the...
About $2,000 for the electrician to install.
Yeah, it was $1,800 for the electrician. So I think the savings would be realized from just the installation standpoint, not to mention the recurring cost of a meter. LEDs draw very little electricity, but there's a base charge for just having the meter, which is about it runs about $20 to $22 a month. The weight of the solar unit with the solar panels is, I think it's about 17 pounds. So let's say one day you decide we would like to move one or both of those solar powered units to a different location. You're obviously going to be able to do that a lot easier than if you had to pull it off that meter, pull the AC, a direct AC one off that meter and move it and then get it rehooked up. That's another plus to the solar.
They're portable.
They're portable. They're more portable than your typical AC.
So the solar is 8,100 and the non-solar is 5,500?
For 2 units.
For 2.
Oh, for 2 units?
Yeah.
Right.
You asked for 2, that's why I had her quote me for 2. There's like a $100 discount if you get 2. Now, if you also notice on the quotes, if you didn't notice already, if you wanted the strobes, those are a little bit. There's another $440 a unit for the strobes, like you experience on 106.
A lot of skid marks by that sound.
Right.
I think that strobe gets their attention.
I think they're very effective.
It gets your attention, that's all I can say.
How many kilowatts does the solar project generate?
This particular solar.
Sorry.
You remember me with extra money with him.
Yeah.
Borrow a couple of his signs. I don't think he's going to need them.
Right.
His panels.
It basically is one and the same, just powered differently.
Correct.
I think that's all probably makes sense.
We've all seen the signs on the interstate with those little solar panels attached to them.
And I guess just to recap, you're saying the solar can be moved around and parked anywhere because it's self-containing.
You'd have to, if you had a pole that you could mount it to, you could just, it's simple as that. Or if you didn't, you could put your own pole in and mount it.
Okay.
Like
Well, it certainly has the flexibility if we, by
use
experimentation,
it.
decide we really want to put it somewhere else, yeah.
But we went with a hard wire on the other one. We didn't fathom the installation cost would be what it is. So it's sort of to your benefit that now we know.
So we're saving
Yeah.
in that sense.
And where would this come out of the budget, Phil?
You put $8,000 in the budget for these two-speed
town
car
meeting.
signs, so it's already past town meeting.
Okay.
So yeah, they have 8,000. I could probably pull 137 out of the police budget in the town and make up the difference, if that's going to save you some hassle.
We could find it.
I just want to see it work. It's just building up there with the speed of the cars and the volume of cars. I'm serious, it just...
No, Heartland Hill's a unique situation, we know that.
Is that a motion?
Huh?
Is that a motion?
Yeah,
That's a motion.
yeah, and I'll second that motion.
Motion's made and
And
seconded.
this is for the solar unit, yes.
To go with Robbie. I know.
Not the solar array, not that, no. Big, way different scale.
Charlie, this is our own farm.
Yeah.
It's this unit's,
We're going with your recommendation.
it's the unit right there with the solar panels. It's basically what it looks like. Picture the one on South Road with the solar panel. That's it.
Yep.
American made, they're made in America,
Made
made in
in-
Kentucky.
And the lights.
With the light, oh, you want the light, so that's,
Well,
that's another,
it's a little more money, and we're looking at a sort of a slim budget here, but we'll see.
Well, the lights are included
The
in the
lights are included.
8137.
In the $8,000.
Are they?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, there you're right. Actually, it wouldn't be, you'd be under 8,000 unless you wanted, I think you could get away with without getting the numerical speed sign, because we have those already. We can mount our own to the pole. I think we have those in the village garage. Or at least,
For what the posted limit is?
yeah. And the wraparound your speed is sign, I think you can probably do away with that, because everyone is now so used to these signs that you don't need
Right.
a sign above the sign saying this is your
Right.
speed. When the
Yeah.
speed flashes at you, pretty
Everybody
good
knows
chance
what that
you
Pretty
know
good
it's your
chance you
speed.
know what that means.
So you'll be saving there.
The 380
That's right.
and the 94, you
Yeah.
can cut off that.
So you'd only be looking at 75, 7,600, something. So you'll be under what you budgeted for.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds to me too.
Okay,
Sounds like we're gonna make it work.
all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right.
I'll have it ordered tomorrow.
Great.
Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie.
Ready? Can you take to them? That's what they're here for.
The hazard mitigation? No?
No, just
Under
like
the second item, under the additions.
Oh, okay. The refunding debt? That one? Or the,
Yes,
Yes.
Jay is here and would
Jay's
like
here.
to observe your vote.
would you like to do that? Okay. So we are going on to the authorization for this pile of papers here. For the town, we're gonna do it in two? or-
What, yeah, that's correct. There's two issues. There's one for the board to approve refinancing your short-term debt to retire from Irene, to get it done at the time, and the total is $669,000. And then the second part, or separate motion, would be to authorize town clerk, town treasurer, and the town manager, if there's any places to sign on this paperwork.
To sign on the paperwork.
There's this paperwork, plus there's other loan documents that are
Right.
closing.
Right. So did you get that?
Yep, so moved.
Second.
For one motion or two? You want to do the first one separately? You want to do them separately?
Just for clarity,
Okay.
the bank really wants to see
Right.
that specific authorization.
Do you want me to spell it out?
You can, Mary can get it in the minutes the way you want it said.
You had the,
I had this.
I'll make a
Approve
motion that we approve refunding the debt
To convert
to
short-term.
convert short-term debt that paid for Tropical Storm Irene repair to long-term debt.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Second motion is to authorize town manager, town treasurer, and the town clerk to sign loan documents for the Irene bond.
So
loan.
moved.
Second.
Any further questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay.
So now you got the pages or tabs.
Now we got all this, so we need to sign.
Jay, you might as well come up and sign it. You're signing the same page as the select board is. Here, a pen.
So, this one is Anna and clerk.
Yeah, Anna's got to put the account numbers on that.
Okay.
You gotta-
Treasurer and select board. So the select board needs to sign this
That's
one.
correct.
We'll start that way. There's a view for the sticky notes here. Can I get these out of order? Is that gonna?
No, just, there should be three.
Select board and treasurer, that's another one.
Okay.
Sorry, Jay, I'm looking for clerk. Select board, treasurer, and clerk. Oops, I probably should have done one.
Looks like the clerk has to
Clerk has to do that.
notarize it or something.
It's the clerk's,
Witness.
yeah, the clerk is the witness. The clerk is the notary for the board, for all of you guys, usually, normally.
And this is treasurer.
you get the top line, Jen?
That's
Oh,
Anna.
boy.
I think that's it on that.
That's it.
There's that.
There should be a third one. for select-
Yeah,
Oh.
we got it.
That's clerk and Anna. So Anna's got to put the numbers down. I think that's it.
If you'll pass that stack down.
Yep, double check.
Make sure, yeah.
Double check us.
Please make sure all the papers get left behind.
A lot of papers go through these meetings.
There's the rest of this.
Rest of that one, place to fill.
That's it?
That it, Phil? We get it all?
Yeah, I got 3 treasurers on here, the
Yep.
last of it. So we've got 3 select board town clerk. I'll take
The
the
clerk and one
One
with
for
the
the
clerk. You
treasurer.
want a clerk on there also?
No.
Okay.
All right. Keep those separate so they don't get tangled up.
I think it's a really good idea that we can keep it here locally with our local bank and all of that.
A lot of good savings to the town over the bond bank. About $75,000 savings over the next 15 years.
Good. Thanks, Jay.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jake.
You're welcome.
Do you want to do hire a forester? Do that quick to get
Sure.
that off that list?
That's good.
Assist with the SAP sale? Sorry.
So it was a year ago, we had Pat Bartlett in, and he did a study of the town forest and recommended we do a timber sale last winter and then move on and do a long-term rental of our trees for sap production. And he told us that he would do a cruising and manage a timber sale, but he did not manage tree rentals for sap production. I have found a forester who does, and I'd like to retain him. There'll be plenty of income generated to pay for that.
To pay
He
for
would,
that. And he can keep an eye on.
keep an eye on things, go out in the woods during collections, go out in the woods.
Who's that?
A guy by the name of, I can't think of his last name, first name is Robo, he's done some work.
Hollerin'.
Hollerin'?
That's it.
Yeah, Hollerin'.
I know him.
He does some work in Woodstock for, I guess, McDill's among others. So he seems squared away and he understands the mechanics of sap, and he would count taps and go along in May and make sure that they're all pulled out of the trees so they don't. So all in all, keep it professional.
So you wouldn't have to do it?
Well, so I wouldn't have to do it, and I'd have some backup if we
Right.
got arguing
Yeah.
with
Yep.
syrup makers, sap farmers.
So I'll make that motion that we hire Rob
Yep.
Holleran.
And I know Rob will also, I'll second it.
Any further questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Grabbing.
May I ask you, do you have a lessee for the town?
Not yet, it'll go out to bid.
Okay. And are you considering logistics as a large consideration?
No, we're considering, I believe the board will consider the price per tap.
Yeah. I'm just saying logistics as in how far the sap is traveling before it becomes SERP. Because one thing that's very unpalatable is heavy trucks over dirt roads in that time of year. And if you have a sugar maker who is very close in proximity where the sap can just go down a pipe to their sugar house, it's advantageous. That's all I'm getting at.
Okay. Thank you.
Good to know.
Something we wouldn't have thought of, thank you.
Not in the sugaring business though, are you?
I am. Not interested in leasing.
Okay. Okay, if you are not going to take it up with Sally not here, I think he'd like to know.
Okay.
The plan, I believe the planning commission did approve that change, or it wouldn't be coming to you. So it would add an additional sign.
Okay. So we don't need to wait for Sally to
I don't think so.
approve the zoning regulation?
Do you want me to try to reach someone?
No.
No, it's just the highlighting?
You have
Yeah,
the-
unless there's people here to make comments, I mean, it doesn't look,
You have the vote from the planning commission, don't you, there?
What sign is it?
It adds a, I'll share it, talk about it later. So for those watching at home, I believe it adds a sign on nailed to your building, in addition to a freestanding sign if you have enough frontage and your building is large enough.
Okay.
And then all the other parameters are spelled out in the ordinance, but to simplify things, it's an additional sign affixed to the building.
Except
What the?
Any building that's commercial,
Oh, okay.
that's large enough and has enough frontage.
Okay.
refers to businesses.
Businesses with a frontage longer than 100 feet are allowed a second sign in addition to a freestanding sign. Got it.
Yep.
Were there any other questions pertaining to that? Or?
The 100-foot frontage is one of the main principles. So like something with a narrower lot, if there was a multi-unit building, you could still only have one sign in the front. If an entrance is in the back, but the sign's in the front, just a guess at which door to go in type of thing. That's really my only concern. I know especially the Route 4 corridor from one end of town to the other, there's lots of multi-unit between business, mixed-use business residential, where you end up getting multiple exterior entrances, but only one for business. You have the sign out in front, but once you get to the back of the building, you don't really know what entrance it is without randomly checking. That was really my only 2 cents, that with the one sign limitation, in some instances along Route 4, it's difficult to show people where the entrance is to specific buildings.
So you're speaking in favor of it?
I'm speaking in favor, yeah, I'm speaking in favor of it, but I think that the 100-foot frontage might limit it to...
If it becomes an issue, the planning commission can come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just like how this got before.
Okay.
I am aware of that problem, that depending on the property, sometimes you need more than one sign. I mean, you got to direct people, and so you don't want to be too rigid about that. Okay.
Move we approve.
I think we have to close the hearing before we can, or,
Okay.
is that how we, yeah, what do you, I was, well.
Said hearing will be held at 6. So 7:30.
It wouldn't hurt
Yeah.
to close testimony.
I haven't done it at the select board, and I've done it at the planning commission, and you definitely close the hearing,
Close
and then
the
you make your
hearing.
decision, but okay.
Do we motion to close the hearing?
I move that we close the hearing.
Okay.
Second.
Seconded. Hearing is closed. Okay, so then we vote on.
Would be a second motion. Or we vote on that
We
motion
vote
to
on-
close.
Motion to close.
Sure.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. And now we can deliberate on it, and I guess having deliberated on it, I think.
We deliberated.
If someone hasn't already made a motion, I'll make a motion that we approve these sign changes as presented to us by the planning commission.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So would we like to help Charlie out and go on to the Economic Development Commission?
It's a nice day outside. I'm here just to follow up. As you know, we've been taking in applications from people who are interested in serving on the Woodstock Economic Development Commission. Right now, there's 9 applications, I believe.
Yes, that's what you gave us.
And at this point, it has been customary in the past to decide whether or not you want to interview people or candidates for the commission. I don't come to you with any specific recommendations of the people that have applied, but don't know what our next step is really in looking at trying to form the commission. The recommendation was to be 5 to 7 members and start to deliberate in July. Because as you know, the 1% local options tax takes effect on July 1st. And the sooner that we have some of the structure together to deal with the funds that will be received sometime in November at the earliest would be good.
Charlie, this, right at the moment, your app is in here.
Yes.
So right at the moment, you have no members, so to speak.
I think I received a letter as well from Phil, and I think what we've discussed is that for the purposes of rebuilding the Economic Development Commission is to really ask anybody who had served on it in the past and had still expressed interest to reapply. So really it's right now, before this, I would be one of the candidates for being renominated to the, or reappointed to the EDC.
Well, my point was going to be that, you know, you mentioned 5 to 7. You've got 9 applications here. Rather than have to make a selection, you're probably not going to get 9 people at every meeting, and you're going to lose some. If there's 9 people who are interested enough to submit an application now, I would say, and I've looked through who they are, I would say we appoint them. That's not a motion, that's a suggestion.
Is Charlie Shackleton planning on putting one in?
I don't know. He was out of the country traveling for a while, so
I knew that he was earlier in the year.
He commented on interest.
I thought he wanted to, but he didn't submit one. I know somebody else who was going to submit one as well, and I know that he hasn't. But that being said, I'm not sure how long you keep it open.
Yes, July 1st is.
July 1st is not too far away.
If we set up a date and had interviews with these 9 people, I'm not sure why we would turn any of them away.
Yeah, I don't know everybody that has applied, so I can't speak to whether they're.
I know, I mean, it's
but-
nice to see some new faces.
Yeah.
Young.
That's a good point, Jay.
Yeah, it is. There's some new faces and there's a younger sort of.
You know, if we had 20 here,
Got
then
a
maybe
nice
we'd have
mix.
to make a selection.
Yeah.
Right.
To single out 1 or 2.
Yeah, I know 6 of them, I don't know 3.
Yeah.
Well, that's a point well taken. You're never going to have all 9 at a meeting.
So you could have
Just the nature of things.
2 backup, yeah.
Well, you
Does that
will-
make it unwieldy?
I was going to say, you will be under the rules of the state for open meeting law, which means you'd have to have a quorum of 5. And I've had some experience. It all depends. If you appoint a big board, but they're kind of lackadaisical, then it's hard to have a quorum. But on the other hand, if they're committed, yeah.
Right.
I'm alternate on the Regional Planning Commission. I attend some of those meetings. That's
Yeah.
a very large board, and it's very collegial, and work does get done.
Yeah. But I do agree with Bruce that I don't know what grounds to deny anyone to be on it, and it has been awkward sometimes when we've interviewed, because people come in and
Right.
we don't really have any questions for them.
Right.
It's a little bit weird. You say, well,
Okay.
gee, it looks great,
Right.
thank you, and what do you want to say,
Yeah.
So it becomes awkward, so that might be a good solution.
I hadn't even thought of the quorum issue.
Yeah.
You have to have at least 5 then every
You
meeting.
have to have a majority present to have a legitimate meeting, yeah.
In order to make any binding decisions, or
Yes.
in one sense, it's an advisory committee to the select board.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much decision-making authority we have anyway.
That's correct.
That's
Very
true. You still fall under all of the open meeting laws, but it is true that if you're not actually making any decisions beyond recommendations, you could say, what's the big deal?
Yeah, right. Okay.
But still, you do need to have 5 present to to bring forward a recommendation and say, this is our recommendation.
Right, okay. Fair enough.
Do you think that would make,
I think it could work. Yeah. I mean, I was always hoping to have 5 or 7 because it's a little more agile, people feel more committed, they get stuff done. A large board, you're never sure if
These
you need to
guys
show up. You know, one of those things. So the smaller it is, the more important it is for you to feel like you have to go.
Betty says they're all males.
Oh,
but
no, we
Chris-
got one.
That has,
We got one.
okay, take it back.
Got one. But they all seem pretty committed.
Yeah, no, you're right, we have Gail.
Right, Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or should be committed. one or the
I
other.
like your suggestion, Bruce.
Yeah.
There it is.
James is excellent.
I would make a motion then that we appoint the 9 individuals who submitted applications for the Economic Development Commission to that position.
And I will second that.
Any further questions, conversations? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, Charlie.
I guess I
Wow.
got a big board now, yeah.
It's a big board.
Hopefully they all work by email.
So we'll coordinate, and I'll send that.
Have you seen this?
Okay. I have seen that.
Okay.
Phil was nice enough to share that with me, and I was a little perplexed when I got it. It's an open letter to the village trustees.
Yes,
The difficulty of imposing a 1% local options tax.
Are they, I assume they're asking at the least that it be delayed, the implementation, is probably what they're saying.
I don't think they are. I think they know that the ship has sailed.
Oh, okay, so they're just
The boat
simply
was
pointing it out.
taken. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
it does affect them and that they have people who paid at a lower tax rate than when they're gonna show up.
Right. It is definitely a statement of where they stand. So we will work hard to make sure that the funds that are collected are well invested. Thank you very much.
Charlie, very much, yeah.
To the committee.
Yeah. Oh, he goes out with his mouth open.
Careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
Okay. Adopt hazard mitigation plan?
Yes, that is the same plan that you've adopted twice already since January 1st.
Uh-huh.
And the language just keeps changing because of what FEMA tells Two Rivers Planning Commission they want to see. So there's one or two more minor modifications in this document than the last one we signed.
So let's go ahead and do it.
Sure. Oh, I will make that, okay, yes, you know.
Do we have
I was kind of making the motion, but that's okay.
You can make the motion. You made the motion.
last week before I distributed those, I
Right.
believe, and you
We
weren't
have-
here.
I have mine at home.
You
but
have
that's-
yours,
Right.
okay.
Okay.
But there is one page that needs to be signed by the chair of the board and one other member.
So Bob's made the motion, I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, we
And bring
adopted
the
the
original
hazard
out for signature.
mitigation plan.
Again.
Unless they suggest more changes.
Exactly, then
Right,
you'll come
then we
back
get
and
more
have it
suggestions.
again.
Okay, we go on to the new business. Any other old business? Are we all set with old business?
I think we're set with all of this.
Okay, approve investment advisory agreement.
This is what.
This is what he talked about when we met.
Yeah.
Woodhouse brought last week.
Yep. Due to all the banking,
Yeah, it keeps you more
Keep more
current
honest.
than 25 years ago when this was
Yeah.
first entered into.
so do you need a motion for you to sign this?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to sign the investment advisory agreement with the Seaward Management Partnership.
Ready? That would be to authorize Phil.
To authorize Phil to sign the agreement. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Phil can sign that one. Thank you, Robbie. Town road inventory.
Yeah, last year, we undertook with a grant from Vermont Better Back Roads, a program to inventory the size, condition of all the town culverts with recommendations on the most needy. So this is becoming part of getting grants out of the
Getting
state of Vermont. It will be a big part of getting disaster money. So what this is we're allowed, we can get a grant of up to $4,000 for the road inventory. The bid was about $6,800. So I would break it out over several years and reapply for more money next year. So, for the culvert inventory, staff time counted as a local match. We don't have any hard money outlays. And I envision this would be similar.
I certainly understand the need for an inventory of culverts, and I presume that also involved condition.
Yes.
What road surface? What are we doing here?
Okay, so let me give you an example. We have recently done about $500,000 worth of paving with Irene money. But absent that, we would have had roads that if you paved your worst one, stuff that was maybe 50% worn out would become completely worn out and need to be rebuilt rather than just resurfaced. So it gives you some guidance on when to repave things.
Oh, okay.
It gives you some guidance on where you might do better with ditches, with gravel surfacing. It's an inventory of both. It's not just, we already have an inventory in that we know how long Heartland Hill is, so on and so forth. And we know what's gravel and what's paved by the maps, but we don't have a condition inventory.
Okay. All right.
That's current.
That's current, and it's a guiding tool for,
That's ever
for
changing.
your work.
Every winter changes it.
Is Municipal Public Works Consulting basically one person, or?
It's probably one or two tops.
Okay.
There were two small firms that applied, and the other bid was about $500 higher.
And we have no experience with either.
That's correct. The established people can't make any money at this.
No, I can guess that. I mean, Stantec or someone like that would be.
No, even RSG and White River has no interest.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But we can do this with grant money over several years.
That's correct. We won't do the whole thing once, and we'll have, the contract will be worded such that it'll be 2 year.
Okay.
Well, I guess you're ready for a motion, so I'll
Yeah.
make a motion that we hire Municipal Public Works Consulting over a 2-year period to do our
Road surface.
road surface inventory.
I will second that.
Any further questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. On to sewer commissioners?
Yeah.
All right.
Overweight truck permits?
Is John done with those?
Yeah, I have 3 of them. Look,
3 of them?
all ones. They seem to be in order.
Okay.
I make a motion, we approve them.
All right.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded to approve overweight truck permits. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we can go on to request for adjustment and billing for the sewer commissioners.
An Oliver block downtown, we had received a zoning permit to create an apartment, and they haven't made the apartment yet, and we sent them a bill.
No, okay.
Based on having issued a zoning permit, so they're asking that it be delayed and prorated based on when it gets completed.
It's reasonable.
Just perfect.
If you think it's reasonable, it sounds reasonable to me.
Perfectly
Yeah.
fair.
There's no water.
So they're not using the service, so.
Using it, yeah.
All right, then I guess I'll make the motion that we, is it
Prorate it?
adjust, you say?
I adjust, if it's completed before June 30th, it would be prorated for the number of days that they're using it, otherwise it would be abated.
Well, move that we adjust this bill, guess we authorize you, Phil, to adjust this bill as necessary.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will adjust the billing accordingly. Any other sewer business?
No.
Approval of minutes, what do we have, May 19th? Three?
3 or 4.
Wow, May 19, May 27, June 4th, and June 9th.
John, I have to confess, I haven't been through them all.
Pardon?
I haven't been through them all. You?
I haven't either.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
my
Okay,
God.
wait till next time. Has anyone read them all?
We are now.
I don't see any.
Eagle eyes are working on it as we speak. A lot happened.
Last one, I wasn't here.
No, you weren't.
That's right, you were,
I missed it.
you were cutting a tree down.
4 elections.
No, you missed very, very few meetings.
I had a little emergency work.
I heard.
It's a quite,
Was the teeth sharp on your saw?
Pardon?
Was your saw good and sharp?
Yeah, it was. I usually file it right after I get done.
Ah, so it's always
Ready to
good.
go next time.
Oh, that's good.
Kind of handy.
So I missed one of these also.
Yeah, I missed the first one. I missed May 19.
So I'll make a motion that we approve May 19th.
okay. We have a second for May
We might have
19th.
Second to the first one.
I can't second May 19.
No, you can't.
John did.
John did, okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Who can?
Aye.
All right, we got 19.
May 27th.
I wasn't here for May 27th.
Oh, you wasn't?
No.
I will make the motion to approve the minutes of May 27.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded for May 27th. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Bruce is here. How about June 4th?
It would seem that
I wasn't at that one either.
maybe what we'll do is, since they're both the same topic,
June
is
4 and
do
June 9.
June 4 and June 9 together. I make a motion, we approve both of them.
Second.
And yeah, Bruce was at
Motion's
both.
made and seconded.
Yep.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye to the second one.
Aye
I
to the
wasn't-
second.
I
Oh,
wasn't at the
That's
first
right,
one.
you
Messed it up with you by putting them together, didn't I?
That's all right.
It's
Yeah.
okay. He abstains on June 4th.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other business? Any other? Phil?
No other.
That's good.
No?
I have no other.
No other? Do we have expense warrants?
I have
Of
expense
course.
warrants.
So I
Make
guess,
a motion to adjourn after the signing of expense warrants.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to adjourn after signing expense warrants. All those in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Ooh, that was a unanimous. Oh.